3 more ping pong balls from the basket and rolled them between his palms. "Don't give him the bad ones now," someone said in a mocking voice. "No bad ones," the fat man said. "They're all the same." He set the balls on the counter and picked up the quarter. He tossed it into the metal box underneath the counter. The man in the black suit raised his hand. "Wait a second," the fat man said. He turned around and reached across the table, picking up the fishbowl. He turned it over and dumped the 4 ping-pong balls into the basket. He seemed to hesitate before he put the empty fishbowl back in place. Nobody else was throwing now. They watched the tall man curiously as he raised his hand and threw the first of his 3 ping-pong balls. It curved through the air and landed in the same fishbowl. Dropping straight down through the neck, it bounced once and then lay still. The people cheered and applauded. The fat man rubbed his left hand across his eyebrows and flicked some sweat from his fingertips with an angry gesture. The man in the black suit threw his second ping-pong ball. It landed in the same fishbowl. "Hold it," said the fat man. The tall man looked at him. "What are you doing?" the fat man asked. "Throwing ping-pong balls," the tall man answered. Everybody laughed. The fat man's face got redder. "I know that," said the fat man. "It's done with mirrors," someone said, and everybody laughed. "Funny," said the fat man. He shifted his wet cigar in his mouth and gestured curtly. "Go on," he said. The tall man in the black suit raised his hand and threw the 3rd ping-pong ball. It arced across the booth as though it were being carried by an invisible hand, and it landed in the fishbowl on top of the other 3 balls. Everybody cheered and clapped their hands. The fat man in the straw hat grabbed a casserole dish and dumped it on the counter. The man in the black suit didn't look at it. He put another quarter down. 3 more ping-pong balls, he said. The fat man turned away from him. "Step right up and win a prize," he called. "Toss a ping-pong ball." The noise of disapproval everybody made drowned him out. He turned back, bristling. "4 rounds to a customer," he shouted. "Where does it say that?" someone asked. "That's the rule," the fat man said. He turned back on the man and tapped the fishbowls with his cane. "Step back up and win a prize." "I came here yesterday and played 5 rounds, a man said loudly. "That's because you didn't win," a teenage boy replied. Most of the people laughed and clapped, but some of them booed. "Let him play," a man's voice ordered. Everybody took it up immediately. "Let him play," they demanded. The man in the straw hat had swallowed nervously. He looked around, a truculent expression on his face. Suddenly, he threw his hands up. "All right," he said, "don't get so excited." He glared at the tall man as he picked up the quarter. Bending over, he grabbed 3 more ping-pong balls and slammed them on the counter. He leaned in close to the man and muttered, "If you're pulling something fast, you better cut it out, here and now. This is an honest game." The tall man stared at him. His face was blank. His eyes looked pale and leathery on his tan face. "What do you mean?" he asked. "No one can throw that many balls in succession into those bowls," the fat man said. The man in the black suit looked at him without expression. "I can," he said. The fat man felt the coldness in his body. Stepping back, he watched the tall man throw the ping-pong balls. As each of them landed in the same fishbowl, the people cheered and clapped their hands. The fat man took a set of steak knives from the top shelf and set them on the counter. He turned away quickly. "Step right up," the man said. "Toss the ball to the fishbowl. Win a prize." His voice was trembling. "He wants to play again," somebody said. The man in the straw hat turned around. He saw a quarter on the counter in front of the tall man. "No more prizes," he said. The man in the black suit pointed at the items on the top shelf. A 4-slice electric toaster, a shortwave radio, a drill set, and a portable typewriter. "What about them?" he asked. The fat man cleared his throat. "They're only for display," he said. He looked around for help. "Where does it say that?" someone demanded. That's what they are.
Ready,
"Just take my word for it," the man in the straw hat said. His face was dripping with sweat. "I'll play for them," the tall man said. "Now look!" The fat man's face was very red. "They're only for display," I said. "Now go to hell." His voice broke off with a wheezing gasp. He staggered back against the table, dropping his cane. The faces of the people swam before him. He heard angry voices through from a distance. He saw a blurred figure. The man in the black suit turned away to push through the crowds. He straightened up and blinked his eyes. The steak knives were gone. Almost everybody left the booth. A few of them remained. The fat man tried to ignore their threatening grumbles. He picked up a quarter off the counter and set 3 ping-pong balls in front of a boy.
Come on, hurry, hurry.
Get in, get in.
Could you please be quiet?
Get in.
Could you please put masking tape over your mouth and shut up? Okay, thanks. Continue, Sindura.
The fat man tried to ignore their threatening grumbles.
Crap or
He
something?
picked up another quarter and
Shut
quarter
up.
off the counter and set 3 ping pong balls in front of a boy. Try your luck, he said. His voice was faint. He tossed a quarter into the metal box underneath the counter. He leaned against the corner of the post and pressed with both hands against his stomach. The cigar fell out of his mouth. God, he said. It felt as though he was bleeding on the inside.
Well, gee, I was on the edge of my seat for about the whole time there, expecting some flaw in a sentence, but I guess not.
I don't get it.
Dude, Rick, you don't get it? You guys don't get
stopped.
it?
He said balls.
The steak knives were missing off of the counter. The man turned away.
Oh,
Stopped. So you got
what was
stabbed?
the last thing? What was the